How to make a safety plan for construction. Would you like to turn safety from some obligation into something meaningful? If you do, this video is for you. So how do you make a safety plan? And how do you make it more impactful? And what are they used for? We're going to cover all that right now. Let's do this. So when I interpret the comment, and this is a general search on the internet that we're responding to, but when you're talking about a safety plan, typically I'm assuming that it's a safety plan for your company or for your project or for your specific crew doing specific work. So let's cover all these right now. So if you're doing a safety plan for your company, this is supposed to map out your approach and the culture that you want to have from a safety standpoint. So let me give you the steps right now from a company standpoint. Number one, you will want to identify what are your company standards. Now, wherever you are in the world, you will have requirements from your authority having jurisdiction. In the United States, it's OSHA. If it was in California, it's Cal OSHA, right? And any requirements for the local city and for the owner that you're working for, and sometimes the insurance program or the insurance carrier. But you will want to find out how you specifically want to implement those safety requirements and which ones are important to your company as step one. Step two, you will need to, and I know this sounds simple, but actually after you put your standards into a safety manual, safety and health manual, that's easy to read, highly visible and bulleted and easily referenced and researched, you will then want to do company specific training on what you expect. This can come in the form of general training, specific checklists, your key items that are expected on every job, posters, checklists, and processes and procedures that you're expected to follow in addition to any documentation. But the bottom line is you as your company need to decide how you want to do it and then train on that. Number three, you'll want to do some follow-up and some check-ins and some inspections. The absolute safest culture that I've ever seen, and you all are going to get mad at me because I know that everybody out there is really competitive. But it was when I was working at DPR with Janet House. She was the safety director and she had this on lock. She had the method, she had the training, she was very clear about it, she helped with job setup, and she did monthly walks in addition to specific weekly walks from a safety engineer or safety manager that followed up on the implementation. So if I as a superintendent had a need or I wasn't clear on something or there was a process that I wasn't following, they would provide the support, they would provide the training, they would model the behavior with me until I was a safe superintendent and until I implemented it the right way. By the time we were done, I bet that project and we were the safest of any of the other projects in the area because the system worked. So find out how do you want to do your business, train on it, and do follow-up walks in the field. The key is to create a culture. A culture is the combination of the beliefs and the actions of a social group. And you shape that by actually shaping the beliefs through training, and you shape the actions through the field walks. And so that's why the method was so impactful. There's a lot more to how to implement that on a company level, but for now, I'm going to leave it at that. And if you want to engage with me, please like and comment on the video and I'll respond, and we can go through the steps on how to create a safety plan for your company from start to finish. So just put it in the comments below if you want to dig in to more detail. So now let's talk about how to create a safety plan for the project. Let's go. Step number one, your plan and schedule should always include how you're going to build it safely. That means in your zones, that means in your approach, that means in your logistics planning. Every single part of your plan and schedule should give you the resources, the approach, and the time to implement safely. Step number two, you will create a project-specific safety plan. And if you ever want an example, just let me know. Again, put it in the comments. But a safety plan that will specifically address the high-risk scopes of work for your project. Number three, you will completely design an entire safety system on your logistics plan. Number four, you will completely design your safety signage on its own independent plan from start to finish so that you know exactly what key items on your project site are needed and where they are and how you can access them. I'm talking about the AED. I'm talking about the emergency gathering area. I'm talking about the emergency shutoff valves. I'm talking about the lift basket for the crane to rescue somebody. All of these things need to be clearly planned and identified on your safety logistics plan. Then number five, you will design these into your system. Number one, your general approach to safety on on the project site. So you'll need to identify how are you going to approach it? Who's in charge of it? Hopefully everybody plus the superintendent. You don't delegate safety. But what is going to be your approach for training and orientation? What is going to be your approach for monitoring? And most specifically, what is going to be your approach for correcting the deviations from that safety plan? For me personally, I'm zero tolerance, right? If I run a project site, I'm zero tolerance. I want everything per OSHA standards. I want everything per the job site, the company orientation. And if we deviate, then we are going to invite people to go to a safe location, and then they can come back the next day through orientation and get the tools, the training, the resources, or their head back in the game. They can then go back to work. If they do it again, they're removed from the project permanently. Some people think that's a bit harsh, but I have found on projects that last around 2 years, with around 300 people on site, that when I've done that, I've only had to send home about 20 people over the duration. And we've had a beautiful, clean, safe, and organized project site with full PPE with great safety results. But if you don't want to implement that, then find your own approach, but you have to find the approach that you and the team will follow together. Then you will make sure that every scope has the right preparation according to that approach. Then you will make sure that every employee has the right training to execute that approach. Then you will include those requirements in the on-site job site orientation. Then you will constantly reinforce that in the morning worker huddle and throughout the project. Then you will handle departures from that method in a very specific manner consistently so that people know how to interact with your project. And if you do that, you will have the basis for a really killer project safety program. So now let's talk about how do you prepare for safety on a scope basis with the crew. Number one, clearly identify the task for the crew. Number two, outline the steps that you're going to follow to install the work. Number three, identify the hazards that could happen per those steps. Number four, understand what mitigation steps you will implement according to those hazards. Number five, make sure that everybody clearly understands, especially give consideration to your pre-task plan and whether or not it should be visual and drawn out. And number six, provide the tools, the training, the place to work, and the time to install it right. And if you do this with highly visual systems, coaching as you go, your crew should be able to have a pretty good safety plan for that scope of work for that day. And so it's really not that hard. You need to follow a couple of key principles, whether it's the company level or the project level or the crew level. Find the expectations. Make sure that everybody understands those expectations in a highly visible environment. Do training so that people can execute according to those expectations. And then follow up in the field to make sure it's being followed. And however you do it, do not tolerate deviations, and create a culture where people know and believe that safety is important and they follow the rules throughout consistently. If you do that, you will have a great plan at every level. And so in the description below, I'm going to link you to these steps that you can follow as you implement your safety plan on your project. I hope you've enjoyed this video. On we go.